good Wednesday afternoon, good Wednesday or Thursday morning, or Wednesday night, wherever it is that you are. I hope you're having a good one. The Chattering Magpie is here, as is the rest of the gang. Hey gang, how are you?
Hello. Hey.
I'm back, baby!
I love how like the demure, very mindful girls are like, hello. And then Patrick's like making a ruckus again. In case you guys weren't aware,
That's what I do. What did you expect?
yeah. I guess you had to get it out of your system. Patrick was on timeout.
Mr. Band.
Not banned. Not banned. Not quite. He was
He got
on
banned for a
timeout.
week.
He got put on timeout for a whole week for desecrating the Ferdinand shrine. But I'm sure that this time has helped.
It was worth it.
reflect.
I have no regrets.
I saw. What the?
Apparently, he has not learned. Look. I just ask one thing. Please behave when it comes to the Ferdinand shrine. You can meme to your heart's delight anywhere else. Just respect the shrine, okay?
It's a shrine for a reason.
Yes. Anyway, I am so happy to be here. It feels like it's been forever.
Should we create a Detland shrine that we can desecrate?
No.
There is already the Detland hate mob.
Yeah, but that's not a shrine.
I mean, I
I want to
rename
desecrate
it.
something.
I could rename it the hot dumpster.
No, stop.
sorry. All right. We'll think about that. Put the suggestion in suggestions channel. We'll ponder about it. Anyway, so yeah, we're back to read some more A World Away. We have a few more chapters to go before it ends, and we're reading today chapter 110. It is the second of the Bells chapters. So I guess I should kind of just do a quick TLDR because it seems that some of us here, I won't say who, have kind of forgotten what's going on, but I will update you quickly. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in this story, A World Away, how far back should I go?
Not that far. You don't have to go from the beginning.
From
Just-
the beginning, chapter 1. Okay, so Eckhart
In the beginning, there was only darkness, and the god of darkness was lonely.
Oh my god.
not that far back, sheesh. All right, so Eckhart is in the Sovereignty, Myne is in Ehrenfest, Myne is pregnant, and so they are just kind of like lovesick for each other, but they both have a duty to do. Eckhart is protecting Ferdinand while he is doing all kinds of things. Ferdinand is in the Sovereignty as supposedly the sovereign high priest, but he's really there to craft a Grutisheit for the Zent, Eglantine, and to help solidify her rule over Jürgen Schmidt. Because right now Jürgen Schmidt is a hot mess. It's on the brink of collapse, basically, because there's no mana, there's unrest, and so though Ferdinand doesn't really care about power and things, like the only reason why he's there at all to help is, first of all, he was summoned, and second of all, he just worries for the well-being of the people he cares for. He does not want, like, his ultimate nightmare is seeing the world end, and especially, you know, Myne and other people that he loves dying. So that's why he's in the Sovereignty. Eckhart is also with him. Eustace is also there with him. And I think in the last chapter... Oh, and also let us not forget that time-traveling Rozemyne, yes, it's a pretty major point. I can't believe I was
Yeah.
Time-traveling
That one.
Rozemyne is also involved. And she was finally able to get through to Ferdinand. He has remembered their past, like all of the times that she was in his past to get him out of Adelgisa, rescue him from multiple times from death in his youth and childhood. So he remembers that. They're lovers. But they're both hiding... Noemi wants to like squeal. Yes, it's fine, Noemi. But they're both hiding things from each other. Very significant things, I may add. And
You mean like the gods are completely abandoning this parallel world?
yes,
Uh-huh.
yes,
No,
like
totally not that one.
like Myne, Rozemyne hasn't told him that she's just there to like save him from like what. Yeah, so she's just there for him. She doesn't care about anything else. And there's Chaosopher running amok as well. So I think second second bell I think had something. I think I covered something significant in second bell. You guys remember me? The first bell chapter. What was it? Let me see. That chapter covered. First bell. Okay, so Eglantine, Pels. Okay, no, not yet. That's not yet. That's second bell. Third bell. Okay. Oh yes. Also another thing though Ferdinand was keeping Rozemyne in hiding because he doesn't want to like bother right now explaining to his retainers why there's a second Myne running around. He's just like, let's just deal with whatever's going on here with the country, and then I'll explain, I'll introduce you to the people, and we'll just go from there. So she's kind of like hiding away from Eckhart and Eustace, except Eustace snuck into the room, supposedly to deliver an urgent message, but he caught a glimpse of Rozemyne. And so Ferdinand was very upset and very scary.
That does seem kind of...
Hold on, Yukihime first and then Patrick, please.
I just want to say that Ferdinand was very suspicious. Like Eustace and Eckhart were wondering for days, like what's up with him. He's constantly like secluding himself, but still he seems more happy. Like what's up with that?
Patrick?
It does seem kind of strange that Eustace is able to sneak into the hidden room because
Oh, not the hidden room, just the bedroom.
Oh, my bad. I've been missing things because I've been banned.
Okay, that's no excuse. That was just one chapter. Did you even listen to last chapter?
I came in at the last half to write some troll stuff, and
I know.
Definitely I came in to promote the channel and say, hey, please like and subscribe and call you Magpie and
all right, you're right. You're forgiven just for that. You're forgiven. No, okay. So they worked on the hidden room, and then she was like, you know what, you need some sleep. Let's go get some sleep. So they just fell asleep with their clothes. Like they didn't even bother to, you know how nobles like you have to bathe, you have to do these things, before you climb into bed. They were like, nope, straight into bed, just sleep, the sleep of the just. And that's how Eustace caught him.
By the way, sorry, I just wanted to welcome Akihana, who just woke up.
Good morning, Akihana. So that was how he found him. Like they were just sleeping in his bedroom, not in the hidden room. All right. Let's see what else. Now, one other thing, I have to make that clarification. Apparently, now there's the one thing, though, very important thing. Since Eustace now knows about Rozemyne, Ferdinand has now asked him to do something. Help with a small matter, and he says, you'll be responsible for a task and you cannot fail me in this. And we don't know what that task is. We'll figure out soon enough. Not this chapter, I think it's gonna be in next chapter, so please wait patiently for that to reveal. Let's see what else. Myne is in Ehrenfest, and she receives first of all a gift of like 1,000 flowers. Remember, these flowers are like symbolic, and they were sent by Eckhart, and he sent her a letter, And we did not cry at all while hearing the letter being read. No, we did not.
Not at all. Absolutely not at all.
Teal did a great job.
Teal did an amazing job.
Thank
yes.
Nice TLDR.
Yes. So if you want to get a little bit, if you want to read the letter, go to the previous live read, or better yet, you can always hop on the AO3 site. It's on the description, and leave me a comment, because those comments always really hit the spot for me. I love those comments. I don't know, just
The TLDR.
Yep.
I love it. I
Yes.
love it. Good pun.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Wasn't
okay.
it fantastic?
Oh my
Patrick?
gosh! Thank you for pointing it out. It was. Oh my god, that was.
I don't know about
Is it-
puntastic, but I'd definitely say punny.
But it was funny, yes.
All right. So, Teal and everybody else. Let's do this. So today but before that, let me just say quick hello. I don't want to forget my YouTube gang who is with us. Saying hello to first comment, who is Yukihime. Says hello first. Yay, Yukihime was first comment. And then Fergie was also with us. Fergie, hey. Says, hey everyone, happy to see you here. We have Hirami, who just arrived on time. Welcome. And she is also here with us. Yes. And hello. We also have Teal, who says, I've completely run out of words at this point. Oh well. Oh no. I believe in you. You can definitely come up with a pun between now and the end of the of the live.
Yeah.
Though I think you already did. So
She did.
she did. The
I got my one
TLDR.
for the day.
You did.
Yep.
Wow. And it just went over my head. You guys, what is wrong with me? I can't appreciate the puns. Somebody has to explain them to me.
Well, you're not a parent
Magpie.
yet. You're not a parent yet, so you don't do the dad jokes.
What's that supposed to say? What's that supposed to mean?
Well, that's how a joke becomes a dad joke.
They say that. They said that.
What? It's just
Oh.
a corny joke until you become a dad?
They just get really bad when you're a dad because you can no longer swear in them
No, it
or
becomes
drop
a
F-bombs
parent.
in them. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
I swear it's the second time I've told that joke and you guys still freak out about it.
Like, I don't know.
I love that. It's a parent.
Ones are difficult, okay?
All right. At the risk of getting a little bit derailed, we should probably get started. Thank you everybody for
It's a little too late on that one.
Thank you everybody for the laughs and the puns. I certainly can't appreciate them, but I'm sure people listening certainly will and catch them because
I do.
I mean, I would appreciate them, but they just fly over my head until somebody explains it in excruciating detail. Oh my gosh. All right.
Same.
I love you all.
Don't worry. Same.
Oh.
Aw, high five across the cyberspace, Yukihime. All right. So
Well done, Teal. I love that one.
Teal, stop it. All right. Chapter 110, you guys. It will be read by the following people. Fergie. Are you still there, Fergie? We're sorry, we're so dumb. Fergie will be reading Ferdinand in this chapter. Teal will be reading Myne. Yukihime will be reading Florencia and Tuli. Patrick will be reading Sylvester. Noemi will be reading Karina. And I shall be reading Lady Elvira. So, by the way, a huge thank you to Teal, who highlighted this chapter for us. Thank you, Teal.
You left another pun.
I know, she did.
Teal is amazing.
I-
More puns.
I challenged her to one pun before the end of the stream, and she delivered. She's like, Check me out, you ain't seen nothing yet. Heel, congrats. Alright, let's do this.
You dare to challenge her?
Mhm. Let's do this. Teal, can you do 3, by the way? Alright, let's do this, you guys. Third bell. Actually, no, this is not third bell. This is second bell. The chapter is titled Second Bell, or Bells 2. And this is
the author who wrote this story, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. So the work is called A World Away by the Chattering Magpie, Chapter 110, Bells, Part 2. And we start with Third Bell. Sylvester stood by the window of a meeting room in the Amethyst dormitory, frowning as he looked outside and surveyed the scene below. Every Gleb's icy grip refused to relinquish its control over the Royal Academy grounds, casting an unsettling chill over the landscape and on the already dismal assembly of nobles who had gathered for the Archduke Conference from all parts of Jürgenschmidt. While snow had already retreated from his home duchy, for some reason, here it still blanketed the grounds in icy patches of white, interrupted only by brave blades of greenery pushing through the icy earth, while here and there, a few shivering buds on the trees trembled in the cold morning air. He rubbed his temple, letting out a soft sigh. This definitely wasn't how the world should look at this time of year. The recently concluded meeting weighed heavily on his mind. His scholars' preliminary reports on the condition of other duchies had been bleak. Despite their own challenges, Ehrenfest had, all in all, been among the lucky ones to make it through the winter's fury relatively unscathed. The duchies along the South Sea, which absolutely relied on the ocean for most of its sustenance, however, were a different story. They were absolutely devastated. Rumor had it that the sea had all but dried up and left only stinking lagoons filled with scum and decaying sea creatures. The people were still wading into those foul pools of brackish water to get what they could just to stay alive, only to fall ill, or they were devoured by Phoebes who were similarly desperate and who preyed upon unprotected villages along the coast. Sylvester shivered. Yes, Memphis had been lucky, and could use its privileged state as leverage, especially with Ferdinand and the sovereignty. But what if another such devastating winter struck? Could they count on luck to carry them through again? He turned when he heard Florencia's soft footsteps and the rustle of her gown behind him. Her serene expression brought a touch of warmth to the cold room, and he unconsciously unknitted his brows at the sight of her loveliness, grateful that she was here to distract him from his troubled thoughts.
The kitchen staff are deep in preparations,
she said, threading her arm through his as she joined him at the window.
They're working wonders with our limited supplies. They're trying to create something impressive yet modest for the tea parties. The sugar rationing has made them particularly creative.
Dinner must be special.
Sylvester interrupted, his gaze drawn back to the snow-laden vista.
Ferdinand hasn't joined us in far too long. We owe him a proper homecoming.
Florencia's lips curved into a knowing smile.
I've made sure they'll prepare his favorites, though we must maintain a modicum of restraint. Our provisions aren't what they once were.
You're right, of course. He'd lecture me endlessly if I gave him reason to think we were being unreasonably extravagant. Still, I wish we could do more.
He'll appreciate having food from his home duchy far more than any other lavish spread. After all, the sovereignty finest chefs can't replace the taste of Ehrenfest.
The conversation was interrupted suddenly by a flash of white as an ordnance swooped through the window, circling the room once before alighting on Sylvester's extended arm.
Sylvester, this is Ferdinand. I regret to inform you that I must cancel our dinner arrangements due to unexpected matters that require my attention. However, I can meet with you in the tea party room at 7th Bell, if your schedule permits.
Sylvester released a frustrated sigh, raking fingers through his hair as the message repeated. His response was clipped.
Understood. See you then.
Then, with an irritated flourish of his stab, he dispatched the bird.
Of course.
He spat, throwing up his hands in exasperation.
This is so typical. Even with all the freedom he's supposedly allowed, Ferdinand still has to tiptoe around everyone like he's walking on shards of glass.
Florencia rested a calming hand on his arm.
He's being cautious. You should be too.
Caution?
Sylvester's laugh held no humor.
I'm forced to treat my own brother like a stranger in my duchy. All for the sake of political gains.
It's beyond mere politics.
Florencia reminded him softly.
It's survival. Ferdinand stands alone in the sovereignty, likely under constant surveillance. His distance may protect both of you. To outsiders, his summon Ehrenfest should be willing to abandon if necessary. Remember our scholars' warnings.
Sylvester considered Lebrecht's words. Personally, while his wife relied on her head scholar for much, he himself didn't think that they needed to go that far. This was his brother, damn it. Some allowances had to be made. But it was no use taking it out on Florencia. Sylvester covered her hand with his own.
As always, you're right. I'll try not to take it so personally. We'll keep our gathering intimate. Only our most trusted will be allowed.
She smiled, her blue eyes warm and all understanding.
I see your care, even if he doesn't say it. Now, we must really see to preparations for our meeting with Trianchel in 3 days' time. Our scholars wait.
Sylvester escorted her to the common room, their steps echoing softly through the halls as their retainers followed behind. His mind was still stuck on his brother, though.
I wonder if he's alright. Ferdinand would never admit if he were suffering.
He murmured very softly, so as only she could hear, and even so was more to himself than to her. Florencia squeezed his arm.
He's always been one to shoulder his burdens alone.
And that's what troubles me.
Sylvester replied, his expression clouding.
All his cleverness, all his strength. He thinks he doesn't need anyone, and it only isolates him more. He has no one at his side to share his weight. To help him, no man should live like that. I wish.
Florencia paused, studying his face.
He hates you.
She reminded him softly. Sylvester's lips quirked in a faint smile, but the sadness in his eyes didn't fade.
You know that's not enough. I just hope one day he can find someone who can support him during his most difficult times. Someone to share his heaviest burdens with.
Florencia sighed, recalling how devastated Sylvester had been when Ferdinand informed him that his sham engagement with Charlotte was no longer necessary. On a practical level, she had hoped Charlotte could continue relying on Ferdinand, but on a personal one, she knew they were never truly compatible. Ferdinand was not the type to open up entirely and just trust.
Me too.
She said softly.
I hope he finds someone like that someday.
Fourth bell. Ferdinand entered his chambers around midday, seeking a brief respite before returning to the Royal Academy to oversee the final preparations for the transference ceremony. The meeting with Zent Eglantine had been as dreadful as he had anticipated, leaving him drained. To make matters worse, it had run late, forcing him to push back everything that he had left to do that day and cancel a dinner appointment with his brother, a rare engagement that he genuinely had been looking forward to. Not only that, but in light of the recent development at the Sovereignty Temple, a heightened state of caution weighed heavily on his mind. So though they would still meet later in the evening, it would be in a formal setting, limited to business discussions rather than the more personal connection Ferdinand had hoped for.
You miss them all. Admit it, Ferdinand.
Rozemyne had said to him on a winter evening when he had been uncharacteristically quiet, worrying about Ehrenfest, on how it was faring through the long harsh season, and on his brother, Sylvester, who bore the weight of it all. He had denied it, of course, but she had seen right through his mask.
I just wish Sylvester would reach out to you for a change.
She had insisted, her eyes bright with that familiar determination of hers.
And not just for business. You're his little brother.
He is an archduke.
Ferdinand had countered, defending Sylvester.
He has far more pressing concerns than a single member of the archducal family.
But still, she hadn't been wrong. Deep inside, he had really looked forward to reconnecting. It certainly must be that he was homesick.
If only my meeting with the Zent hadn't gone on for so long.
As it was, he had left the comforting of the Zent to her lord consorts, excusing himself as soon as decorum allowed, once they had gone over the terrible event at the temple and revised their original plan. Now, here he was, back home. The temple, once his sanctuary in Ehrenfest, had become his refuge in the sovereignty as well. Sharing his life with Rozemyne had only deepened its sense of solace, or at least it should have. He expected to find Rozemyne waiting for him in his chambers. Of course she'd be invisible, but she never failed to materialize when he entered the room. Instead, he was met with the profound silence of a still and empty space, and he knew immediately that she wasn't there. Ferdinand's sharp eyes narrowed as they fell on the entrance to his hidden room. Something was amiss. Normally at this hour, Rozemyne would be curled up on his cushioned window seat with a book, either lost in her reading or watching him work with the blues, and, showing no inclination to make herself useful, preferring to read instead. But not today. And given the events of that morning, a frisson of unease unfurled within him. He crossed the room and opened the door to his hidden room to find her crouched on the floor, intensely focused on a sprawling parchment before her. The bold strokes of a magnificent magic circle glowed faintly, and he sensed the air humming with mana as if she had just cast a spell that took a considerable amount of it. She was still holding her staff in her hand, and her brow was furrowed in concentration. But at the sound of the door, she froze, her head snapping up to meet his gaze. For a heartbeat, neither spoke. Then, in a blur of motion, she rolled up the parchment, a disarming smile spreading across her face.
Ferdinand, you're back.
His eyes narrowed.
What is that?
Oh, just a little project.
She replied breezily, rising to her feet. The lightness in her tone felt forced, and his suspicion deepened. It had only been a few seconds, but he had managed to get a good glimpse of the circle, and its composition had struck him as unsettling. Before he could press her further, she moved to the door of the old hidden room, a space that she had used out of necessity, but had since claimed she no longer needed. She opened it just enough to shove the rolled parchment inside, then quickly shut it again. Planting herself firmly in front of the door, she looked up at him with an almost defiant smile.
Rozemyne.
He began, his tone low, but she cut him off, stepping closer and rising on tiptoe to press her lips against his.
Enough about that.
She murmured, her voice soft and warm against his mouth.
You look like you could use a break. Have you eaten?
As always, Eustace wheeled in a cart laden with food at just the right moment. They sat down to eat together, but the usual comfort of their shared meals was absent. A heavy silence hung between them as both were lost in their own thoughts. Ferdinand noticed Rozemyne fidgeting, a rare sight. Her fingers tapped nervously against her teacup, her gaze distant as she drank her tea.
I heard a lot of commotion earlier.
She said, finally breaking the quiet.
Is everything all right?
Ferdinand maintained a carefully neutral expression as he nodded.
The security has been too lax in the temple. There was a slight incident, but nothing you should be concerned.
He shifted the conversation, his voice taking on an edge.
How about you? What have you been up to all morning?
He hadn't meant to sound so sharp, and he caught her slight flinch at his tone. But she ignored the question altogether.
Just an accident? The three of you rushed out before Eckhart could even begin to brief you properly.
She met his gaze steadily.
It was definitely as if you were trying to hide it from me. Why not just have the meeting here in your room? You and I both know they are soundproofed enough. Is everything truly all right, Ferdinand? What aren't you telling me? I'm on your side. You needn't hide things from me.
His jaw clenched as fatigue weighed down on him. There was no reason to burden her with the details, especially since he'd already put extra security in place to keep her safe. The last thing he wanted was to revisit the violence from earlier, or stir up an old point of tension that still lingered between them, which included the secrets that she still kept from him. But he was so tired of her secrets, tired of worrying and pondering whether or not he was missing a crucial piece of a puzzle that could ruin his plans, even though he had prepared for every conceivable contingency. Tired of worrying about what would happen to those he cared for if he didn't succeed.
And what? Then, were you so desperate to hide from me?
He countered, his voice steady but edged.
And where did you get the parchment and materials for whatever it is you were working on?
Rozemyne faltered, her composure slipping for just a moment.
I simply borrowed a few things from you. You said your workshop was at my disposal, didn't you? It's just a silly little project. You don't need to be so suspicious.
Ferdinand fixed her with a hard stare, but after a moment, he let out a breath and decided to let it drop. They finished their meal in silence as the unspoken tension coiled tighter between them. Soon after he was done eating, he stood to leave, but before he could take another step, Rozemyne reached for his hand, her fingers warm and delicate against his. Her gaze searched his face. Her expression was earnest.
Are we all right,
She asked softly.
Ferdinand?
The tenderness in her voice melted the ice in his heart. With a small sigh, he cupped her cheek with his free hand, his thumb brushing lightly against her skin.
We are.
He murmured. Her smile returned.
Good. I'll stay up and wait for you tonight.
Ferdinand nodded, leaning down to press a lingering kiss to her forehead. He didn't say,
I'll be counting on it.
but the thought stayed with him as he left the room. True, she was keeping things from him, but when it came down to it, he was also guilty of the same. as he contemplated what lengths he might have to go through just to keep her safe and away from danger. A bitter calm settled over him. He didn't care. Not about right or wrong, not about trust or betrayal. He wished things were different, but there it was. For all the progress they had made, for all the love they shared, there were still some walls between them, and neither was willing to back down or give in. If she couldn't be open about what she was doing and why, then he didn't have an obligation to disclose his own plans. After all, he was doing it for her sake, as well as for their future together. Surely she'd understand. Left alone in the hidden room, Rozemyne walked toward the door that led to the little hidden room within Ferdinand's hidden room. She remembered how she had managed such a bizarre feat. In the early days, Ferdinand had ordered her to pack up and disappear. But once she had materialized in the physical realm, there had been no other place for her to go. According to her book of Mystionora, no one had ever created a hidden room within another hidden room, but in her desperation, she had resorted to experimentation. Playing around with the magic spell for hidden room creation and registration, she had flipped the circle vertically and reversed the sigils. She hadn't expected the twisted, unsettling design to work, but to her surprise, it had. Yet, the result was far from what she had hoped for. She later discovered that she had accidentally opened the door to a forbidden domain, one that seemed only accessible because the weave itself was unraveling, fraying at the edges and unstable. After learning about the nature of her hidden room, she had been too afraid to go back to it. That was why she lingered for a long time by the frame of the magic door she had installed herself. Her hand was resting against the cool facestone as she prepared to open it. A chill seemed to seep through her fingers, and dread settled deep in her chest at the thought of stepping inside again. But she had to. She needed the circle she created, the one she'd thrown in to keep Ferdinand from seeing it, at all costs. With a slow breath, she opened the door, revealing a room shrouded in darkness. Vestagerheim lay just beyond the threshold. Bracing herself, she stepped forward. Sooner or later, she'd have to get used to it anyway. She had made her choice, struck her deal, and committed to this path. And there was no turning back. Fifth Bell. The afternoon sunlight streamed through the high windows, casting golden patterns across the sea of fine gowns spread before Myne, Elvira, and Myne's attendants. The fabrics shimmered in every shade of blue, waiting for inspection. Karina of the Gilberta Company, Myne's official dressmaker, had been entrusted with the enviable yet weighty task of crafting Myne's summer wardrobe, both for her pregnancy and the months beyond. She and her assistants held up gown after gown, awaiting Myne's verdict. Myne's gaze softened as it landed on Thule, who was assisting Karina with the fittings. She wished they had had the chance to talk properly, but that would have to wait until Earth Day, when Thule would come to show her the hair sticks that she and Lady Elvira had ordered to match their summer dresses, and they could spend all afternoon together in Myne's chambers.
The letter's finally warming up enough for light fabric.
Karina mused, running her fingers over a particularly fine gown that was the exact shade of Eckhart's deep blue eyes, and made Myne's heart give a painful little pang.
For a while we worried the dresses would be too thin for the unseasonable chill, of course. We could still use the layering technique you suggested, Lady Myne, if you prefer.
Myne nodded absent-mindedly, resisting the urge to fidget as Thule began with the fitting. There was little reason to worry. Her empire-waisted dresses were flattering and easily adjustable, designed to accommodate her growing belly and be tailored down once the baby arrived. And yet, despite all this time among nobility, fittings felt fittings like this still felt foreign. At least Tulis's presence brought a touch of familiarity. It felt almost like the old days, when they had simply been sisters in the lower city, and Tuli, with bright-eyed enthusiasm, would practice sewing with scraps of inexpensive cloth, crafting gowns for Myne from the designs she had dreamed up just for her.
Lift your arms, please.
Tuli instructed, her professional demeanor slipping as she offered Myne a small secret smile. As she smoothed the fabric on Myne's sleeve, something caught her eye.
Oh, I've never seen that bracelet before.
Myne glanced down at her wrist, where Dolores's, no, her sphere face stone gleamed, encased in an elegant gold cuff.
Ah, this? A friend gave it to me. It was a pendant once, but I had it reset.
The stone is beautiful.
Karina murmured, stepping closer to examine it.
But is something moving inside of it? It almost looks like a fire.
Tuli frowned, peering at it more closely.
That's why they call it a Herzfeuer.
Myne explained, tilting her wrist so the light reflected through the gem's molten depths.
It translates to heart fire. It's a protection charm, of sorts.
Karina had moved to instruct the seamstresses on the next gown, but Tuli remained transfixed.
Protection from what?
Various things.
Myne hedged, casting a quick glance at Elvira. Her mother-in-law's dark eyes were watchful, saying more than words ever could. This was Tuli, her own sister. But even so, some things were better for her not to know or worry about. She cleared her throat and shifted the topic slightly.
I had it reset as a bracelet because face stone necklaces have particular meanings in noble society. It would have felt disloyal to Eckhart.
Tuli nodded, understanding at once. After all, the training she had endured to be able to present herself in front of nobles for work, she was now well aware of the significance of face stone necklaces in noble courtship. She resumed her work, adjusting the fit of Myne's gown and smoothing the fabric into place. But her gaze kept drifting back to the bracelet.
It's strange, though.
She murmured, absently adjusting a seam, while Karina and Elvira discussed gown alterations at the next table.
Sometimes when the light hits it just right, it seems to shift and change. Almost like it's alive.
Myne frowned, drawing her wrist closer to inspect the stone more carefully. The glow within it flickered, not merely catching the light, but shifting, as though something inside was alive. She had noticed it before, but had never given it much thought. It wasn't like any other face stone she had encountered, but then again, she was only just beginning to study face stone and magic tools in earnest. Perhaps this was normal?
Yes.
She admitted.
Sometimes it even changes color. When it does, it turns completely black. But that's only happened once or twice.
Tuli shuddered, her blue eyes wide with unease.
Pitch black? That's kind of creepy, Myne. What does it mean?
I'm not sure.
Myne confessed, brushing her thumb lightly over the stone.
Hartmut, one of my scholars, knows more about it. I'll ask him when I see him next. But honestly, it's nothing to worry about. It's only happened a couple of times, and...
Tuli's expression was unreadable. Myne chuckled nervously.
All right. Maybe it is a little unsettling. Just to be safe.
She slipped off the bracelet and set it on a nearby table. Rosina would have normally put it away, but at the moment she, Delia, Feline, and Lady Elvira were cooing over baby clothes. Myne hesitated for a brief moment, but then shrugged. She wouldn't be meeting anyone who could pose a risk of mind alteration before her scheduled meeting with Hartmut in 2 days. It didn't really matter if she wore it or not.
Probably wise.
Tully agreed, visibly relieved. She finished jotting down notes on her diptych before helping Myne into the next gown. Myne smiled to herself. She was likely being overcautious, but Tully had a way of sensing things. Time and time again her straightforward, common-sense instincts had proven correct. Protection didn't always come from magical artifacts, after all. Sometimes the best safeguard was simple precaution. "Now then," Elvira said, finishing her conversation with Karina. "Myne, once you're done with the fitting, you need to come and decide on the baby's wardrobe. Karina just showed us some exquisite designs." The rest of the hour passed in a blur of fabric selections and embroidery discussions. As much as Myne loved planning for her child's arrival, she was relieved when it was finally over. Karina gathered her sketches and notes while Tully and the assistants carefully packed away the measuring tools, fabric samples, and gowns.
We'll have the first dress ready in a week,
Karina announced.
and a number of baby clothing as well.
"Perfect," Elvira said with satisfaction. Exhaustion settled over Myne all at once. Her attendants noticed immediately and promptly escorted her upstairs for a short nap, while Elvira made her way to the schoolroom to check on Adelaide's reading lessons. Myne had been the one to suggest additional tutoring for Adelaide, and Elvira had brought in a brilliant scholar, under whose patient guidance Adelaide was finally learning to read properly. Downstairs, Tully and the rest of Karina's assistants finished packing and returned to the lower city in a flurry of enthusiasm and energy. By the time they emptied the room, Myne's attendants were long gone, and none of them realized she had left something behind. Silence fell into the still, sun-bathed meeting room. Shafts of the afternoon sunlight slanted across the table, striking Myne's Hersphere bracelet where it lay forgotten. The red stone remained perfectly still, its glow steady, and its color unwavering beneath the golden light. And yet, as the sun dipped below the horizon, and the last golden rays of the day were chased away by the deepening twilight, the vibrant crimson stirred and wavered within, just for a moment, just for an instant, just for a breath, before settling once more. In the balmy air of night, the distant temple bells chimed 6 bell, and the color of the Hersphere never wavered again. End of chapter. All right, so we got the Hersphere, and Tully and Myne have a conversation about it. I don't know, maybe it could be significant. The Hersphere might do something or might not do something. Who knows? Read and find out.
Yeah, at this point, like, I was so confused. Like, is it like good? So, like, I would like to share my thoughts. So, with the stone, so there could be like two things. The stone could be being a negative thing that had already brought a lot of misfortune to Dolores, you know. In this situation, Tully had correctly identified it as a threat because Myne forgot it. She is safe from this danger, you know. Like, this is one interpretation, but other interpretation could be that the stone could still have been a positive in Myne's life. After all, it also relates to Dolores, with whom Myne now has a good relationship with. Its stated effect is also to protect the person from manipulation, and Myne did say that she'll be safe for 2 days without it, which sounds a lot like jinxing a mental attack to happen before she gets to the meeting with Harriet.
Yeah, red flags, right?
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, Tuli was so pushy. Like, what's up with that? Like, Tuli gave me the chills in this scene because why was she the only one who was kind of pushy toward Myne to take off the face stone? Makes me very suspicious of her. I wonder if Tuli had already been manipulated by someone by this point. Yeah.
I would.
love
I don't
hearing
know.
those. I love hearing those. Yeah. Go on, Akihana.
I didn't see it that way though with regards to Tuli. For me, it seemed more like Tuli being her usual overprotective self, being the protective sister, being cautious and the suspicion of something that looks unfamiliar to her. Like, that's something new. What is that supposed to be? Like, are you sure you know what that's doing? And those kinds of things. The usual typical suspicious Tuli of things that are new on Rozemyne, on Myne. Like, let's say even in the canon line,
Mm-hmm.
we all know that Tuli was suspicious about the charm that Rozemyne gave out. Like, is this really okay? That kind of feel. That's what I got from the Tuli we saw in this chapter.
Yes. And it's hard to explain magic stuff. I would imagine that commoners, even those that have been educated to hang around or to present themselves with nobles, I would still be a little bit like, oh, that's kind of like creepy or strange. I did use the word unsettling here in this chapter, and that was of course intentional. It's kind of, I don't know if you guys noticed, I used it at least 4 times. So yeah, it's meant to cause suspicion. We don't know yet what's it gonna do, how it plays, if it plays into the story. But yeah, again, like if you think about how historically people have things that they don't understand, they will be suspicious of it. So kind of that also does play into that. Even Myne herself admits that she, like, to herself, that she just started learning about magic, and so, like, in depth. So there are some things that she herself doesn't know. But it's okay, because she'll ask Hartmut in 2 days' time, and there's nothing that could happen until then. So it'll be okay, right? It'll be okay.
Question though.
Famous last words.
Question though, is Elvira familiar with the function of that?
Yes.
Her star?
Yes, she does. Yeah, she's known about that since the attack on Dolores and all that stuff. She knows about it. She knows about it. And so does Myne. Myne knows that it'll help her against mind manipulation.
Let's all ignore Crusher so that it seems like he's not talking to us.
Oh, it says Crusher as apparently has... My mic isn't being detected by Discord for some reason, so for the moment you're muted. Restart Discord and try it again. Yes. Fergie says it too.
I love how I said to ignore him and you probably read his message.
Yes. Try it, Crusher. Let's see. Anything else about from the chat that I missed? Akihana asks, how does Ferdinand plan on revealing Rozemyne to the world, though? I'm actually reading a question from you. So just to answer this question, it's still planning. He plans on it. I will answer a little bit in another chapter about it. So next chapter should give you a bit of a glimpse, maybe. Okay, what was the other question?
Yeah, I was going to say that the whatever your stone that was, that hot heart fire stone. It was kind of concerning how the fire inside stopped moving. Like it disappeared at the end of the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Like a part of me is thinking that since Myne was already wearing that bracelet for quite some time during her pregnancy, a part of my mind is thinking if it had made a connection with the fetus inside Myne.
Yeah, baby.
And so I'm wondering, yeah, I'm wondering if something might have happened with the baby
Oh no!
because of the loss of connection.
Oh,
Yeah, I also
Not the
thought
mama.
no, that would be terrible. I think somebody else was that you, Yukihime, who also thought about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh. Well, if the question doesn't get answered by the end of the fanfic, I'll answer your question. But hopefully by the time we
Well-
finish the fanfic, you should get answers to that. But those are good, interesting connections. I love it. Keep them coming. I love the theories.
I'm just
yes,
I'm just
Patrick.
hoping that the baby comes out cute, pink, and waving a frying pan saying, "Not to mama, not to mama."
Please don't kill the baby, I'll cry.
Although a part of me is also thinking, like,
Mhm.
we all know how babies tend to cry with Myne, right? Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
Camille always cried whenever Myne got near him. Same with Dirk.
Mhm.
So I'm now wondering if the same thing would happen with Myne's baby once it comes out.
Well, I think for the reason why babies would cry because when Myne was around, this is from Mia Kazuki Sensei herself. So it was because they weren't used to her shampoo. Like she smelled a lot like shampoo and nice things. So it was her
Yes,
smell.
that is what Kazuki Sensei said.
Well, I mean, we can refute it in our minds, but okay. If the baby is
So
brought up in
it
a
has-
nice smelling environment, then that will not be an issue. It'll already be used to Myne smell.
So it has nothing to do with her overwhelming quantity of mana.
No,
Apparently not.
no. They can't sense her anyway. That ability doesn't awaken until puberty. So even if they could, she would be way above, their range or something like that. Yeah. I like Yukihime's comment. Says Ferdinand trying not to be suspicious. Mission impossible. So okay, so let's go back to that scene where we have Ferdinand and Rozemyne in the hidden room. So kind of like to contrast a little bit from the earlier chapters where they're just absolutely like being sweet on each other, and yet we have this scene not too long afterwards, maybe like 3 bells later, and they're kind of like the mood is totally different. So
Yeah, about
There's
this scene. So,
awkwardness.
yeah. It is both interesting but also sad and disheartening the standstill Rozemyne and Ferdinand are in. They love each other and had confirmed their mutual feelings, but it just isn't enough. The situation is a lot more complex than them just not trusting each other. They can't share their plans because they already know the other would try to stop them. Like they literally justify plans with their intent to keep the other safe
Yes.
is heartbreaking.
yes, that's the thing. It's not. Yeah, that's the thing because they know that if they tell the other one will go ballistic or try to stop doing the impossible thing. So let's see whose plan prevails, and if even it'll matter. Akihana?
I was just thinking, I was wondering what that magic circle was that Myne was staring at on the parchment, and I was wondering if whether or not it was actually a teleportation circle to maybe Aranfest conjugate, maybe?
Read and find out. I cannot answer anything. You'll find out later. You'll find out later.
Yeah, I was also thinking of that. Oh my god.
here's a bit of a
Because
clue,
right
though.
now her plan is to basically assassinate Myne, right? So I was wondering, why doesn't she? She could like
All right, so
she could actually teleport to the Kernberger gate.
maybe she could. I will point out two things that give us a clue as to what it might be. Ferdinand said that it was magnificent looking, but it was also unsettling. He didn't manage to recognize what it was, so we'll see. We'll see if it was a modified teleportation circle or what kind of circle it could be. Again, read and find out. The answer, if you have,
So in that
it will be answered.
in that case, I have another theory.
if you want to find out and you need to know now, you can read, I think, the latest or the second to last chapter that I've published. It's been answered, but you have to go to AO3. It's already, I think it's chapter 113 or one. I think it's 113 that.
I think it's 13.
113. Yes,
113.
they talk about it. We're not done. What's up?
I still want to finish rereading the main series first. I'm already. I just finished part 5, volume 4 or 5 last night.
Oh wow!
Let me finish the main series first.
All right.
Oh, speaking of that, Trash Tier Waifu posted on Twitter recently saying that he's almost done with the main series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently it's 512, right? It's the last one that he has to do. That's a stellar, gigantic job. Amazing. Woof. Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a second theory as to what that magic circle is.
Mm-hmm.
Considering Ferdinand used both the adjectives of what was it, magnificent and disturbing or unsettling. So now my mind is thinking whether or not it's the flipped or mirror version of that magic circle in the Bible. You know, that same circle that Ferdinand in the main weave flipped over.
Interesting.
So that's my second theory.
Well, he does know all kinds of arcane magics and stuff, so he could probably have recognized it, or maybe could have jogged his memory. Who knows? Don't worry, it'll be answered chapter 113. But yeah, I remember that now that you mention it. Yep. Speaking of arcane magic circles, I did play around a little bit with the magic system, kind of like how Rozemyne made a hidden room within the hidden room. So basically, hidden rooms are like little little dimensions of themselves. So it's like they're separate from Jürgen Schmidt. That's why at the beginning, the first time she was able to cross over was just at that hidden room where Ferdinand was at, because it's kind of like still separate from Jürgen Schmidt. So that's when she was able to cross over. And then another thing was, and also her hidden room, the hidden room within the hidden room, opens yet another plane within the plane. So it's kind of weird, but that's how she was able to enter a domain that shouldn't have been accessible. But also adding to that the fact that this weave is unstable. Like a lot of the magic and the physical aspect of this weave is already unstable, fraying at the edges. So a lot of stuff is possible at this point. We'll see. We'll see as we get closer to the end, seeing how it all plays out. But yeah, thank you for sharing your theories. I love hearing the theories. And if you have any other, feel free to share. Let's see. What else? What other things do we have in this chapter?
Perky has a nice comment in the chat.
Oh.
He says, I just realized that the phrase "saved by the bell" might be fairly common in Jürgen Schmidt.
True. True. Well, that's true. By the way, did you guys know about where we actually used that Saved by the Bell? Where that came from?
I have no idea.
TV show.
To be honest.
TV show.
Well, I know the TV show, but this is what I
Oh,
read.
there's. Oh, go ahead.
I read that back in the day, some people, they would die, and then some days they were buried alive, and they, when they unearthed
Whoa.
them, they were like buried alive. So some people of affluence and means, just to be safe, they would be buried with like a cord, and the cord was connected to a bell, and if the bell ever rung was because like somebody needed to be saved, they had been buried alive. So that's why Saved by the Bell. Just
I
because-
heard of that.
Mhm.
Oh, and here I was thinking it's just like the literal bell, like crash bell or doorbell
Yeah,
to
yeah.
save someone from an awkward conversation or situation.
Well,
I was
It's
thinking-
alright, because I'm saved by the bell.
yeah, I was actually shocked at the just the macabre
Gruesome.
origin of this phrase. But honestly, though, like being buried alive is definitely among my worst nightmares. So,
Many people have this nightmare.
nowadays, of course, it would be fairly impossible to be buried alive because between burial and your death and your burial, there's like weeks in between. At least here in the States, there's like days. They like do all kinds of stuff to your body. So it's impossible. I know a lot of countries, so like
Unless of course you get mixed up with the dark side, then you could very much be illegally buried alive.
oh boy, well,
Thanks for that.
The dark side? You mean the mischief side? The side that I definitely nurse in the Discord?
No, I mean like the underground side, like the mafia,
The mob,
yakuza,
yep.
and the stuff.
I thought about the
Yeah.
mob. If they don't feed you to the fish or put your body on ice. Yep.
or give you cement shoes.
Oh no! Oh gosh. All right, you guys. Anything else about these
That
chapters?
took a gruesome turn.
Yeah.
I'd like to say keep cooking, even if we're not sure of all the ingredients.
Okay. Yes. I'll do my best to continue to answer all the questions. It's good that you ask these questions because I just want to make sure that they get clear when I do answer them. Yeah. Also, I thought I wanted it. I don't know. I really like. I don't know. I know I'm a Fermi girl at heart. I'm a diehard Fermi girl, but I grew to like Eckhart and Myne a lot. So anytime I can, I always put like something that will make you be like, "Aw." So here there was a dress that was the exact same color of Eckhart's eyes. So that's gonna be her new favorite, of course.
Well, you put a lot of effort into this story, so I would hope you'd be a fan of your creation.
I will admit, if I weren't proud of the fact that like the characters and stuff, I would be proud of the fact that it's so long and that it's almost done, you guys. I have never ever written something so long or come so close to completing it. So
Famous words.
yeah. Let me finish it. I'm gonna try to finish it. I am committed to finishing this thing, and even if something happens, I think I have left my last will and testament. No. I have shared the end with one or two of you, maybe.
Make sure you get a bell, Magpie. You said that you get your testament. Make sure you get a bell.
No. It's
So-
incineration for me, please.
completely unrelated to this conversation.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
8 people watching right now, and there's only 5 likes. What the hell, people? Get them likes up.
That would be
Like and
appreciated.
subscribe.
Like and subscribe. We are 720 subscribers away from my goal of 1,000. Let's see if we can get if we can get it. If this doesn't do it, if our World Away doesn't do it, maybe Count of Monte Cristo can. We'll see. By the way, you guys, I'm thinking that after we read Count of Monte Cristo, I want to do Anne of Green Gables. Because there's an anime out there.
Is it because the anime?
Yes.
The anime.
So
Let's do it.
yes, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We first have to do Count of Monte Cristo.
Or
Though. What?
Or you could flip it around and do Anne of Green Gables first before Count of Monte Cristo, since it's because of its timing.
Yeah, it's coming in April.
Production of the anime.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. It would have to put it on. I'll have to ask the people that are most interested in this, because I want to read Count of Monte Cristo, but I also know that there's highlighters that have started, or maybe have started, or whatever. So I'll get back to you on that. But we are definitely reading Anne of Green Gables for sure. Just where there's the order, we'll get back to you on that. So, yeah. Either way, it's exciting times. They're both really great stories. And if you liked The Blue Castle, you will love Anne of Green Gables. And if you have not read The Blue Castle, then what are you doing? Go and watch my live streams of The Blue Castle. I worked so hard.
Speaking of Blue
read
Castle,
my heart out on those.
Speaking of Blue Castle, what's the update on that? On the chit chat.
Don't. I will disclose all about it off live, because I have to I have to confess something, but I'll do it offline. All right, beautiful people. I do believe we are done with today's stream. It was a rather short chapter. It was only 12 slides, but I think next one is going to finish off this day. Remember, the bells chapters basically cover an entire day, from first bell all the way to 7th bell, and maybe a little beyond, who knows. And so we will get a few more questions answered on the next one, chapter 111, bells 3. Oh boy. I hope you're excited for it, all of you who read it already on AO3. So, yes. By the way, thank you for all of you guys who read today. We had today reading JC Fergie read Ferdinand, Teal read Myne, Yukihime did Florencia and Thule, Patrick read Sylvester, Noemi did Karina, welcome back Noemi by the way, and I, of course, was Elvira. Highlighting, thank you so much to Teal who highlighted this chapter. And we will be back on Friday around 1 o'clock. So do be sure to join us then. It'll be exciting. All right, everybody, say goodbye. We'll see you Friday.
Very exciting.
Bye-bye.
Adios. Love ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Chaos!
Settle down. You want to be banned already? Again?